Children really do need to be equally protected. We're not asking for additional protection for children. We are looking at them having the same rights as adults under the law.
It's important because it's about equality. It's about making sure that children and adults are protected by the law. And the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, at the last time it looked at the UK government's response to the convention, made it very clear, unequivocal in fact, that all states parties across the world should do what it can to legislate to make sure that children are protected in the law from smacking or from violence in the home.
NSPCC is a founder member of the Children Are Unbeatable campaign. We believe that the legislative position in Wales gives us a unique opportunity to make a significant change that will lead to the protection of children. The law on physical punishment of children is confused and needs to be reformed, as it gives ambiguous and unclear messages to parents, to professionals and also to children.
Mae Benadas Cymru yn cefnogi'r ymgyrch hon i'r carn. Mae plant yn dweud wrthym fod curo yn boenus ac nad yn ddiminol. Holl bwynt curo wrth gwrs yw ei beri poen. Mae curo hefyd yn rhoi neges i blant fod trais yn dderbyniol ac y gellir o'i gyfiawnhau fel ffordd o ddatrys problem. Os ydym yn gadael i hyn barhau, bydd yn tanseilio bwriad Llywodraeth Cymru yn llwyr i ddileu trais yn y cartref.
The reason why I would like a change in the law that would protect children so that they're protected as adults are protected is so that we can create awareness in every adult about the vulnerability of children and that it's not right to beat them.
We will never fully be able to protect children from physical harm if we've got this confusion in our minds that on the one hand in this situation physical punishment is okay and somehow you tip over. And to give an example of how stupid the law is this notion that if you have caused a red mark or a bruise then you've stepped over the line. But I work with lots of children who have very dark skin and you can't see often bruising, you certainly can't see a red mark. And so where does that leave those children? So there are lots of inconsistencies and inappropriatenesses in this law that need to be challenged.
Because it seems to me that smacking children is totally unacceptable. It doesn't achieve anything. You wouldn't dream of smacking an adult. And it's counterproductive because, in any argument with anybody, once you escalate the row by beginning to resort to physical violence, then that person is violent towards you and there's no end to the conflict. It just escalates. And it's contrary to any gospel principle that I know about.
If I could speak to somebody that changes the law, like the president or somebody, I would say to change the law to not smacking when they're naughty, because it makes the children feel very sad and they shouldn't do it because it's very bad.
Between April 2011 and April 2012, Childline received a total of over 320,000 contacts from children and young people via the telephone and our online service, the one-to-one chats and emails. Of that number, over 17,500 young people talk to us about physical punishment or abuse. And that could be anything from being hit, being smacked, right the way up to being hit with an implement or anything around the house or being kicked and punched.
Well, I feel that it's wrong because kids should have the most protection over adults because, well, we're the ones that's going to make the community, well, bigger and stuff, like what in years to come, and we're the ones that going to carry on this routine basically, and we don't want to, well, it's not as if we want to grow older, have children of our own, and then just when they do something wrong slap them and stuff like that, and we don't want to just do that. It's just we want to make it better than that.
Pretend I'm the First Minister of Wales, what would you say to me?
I'd ask you why you hadn't banned it already. Because if they have children themselves, then I don't think they like the thought of their child being smacked. Like, maybe they hit their children, maybe that's why.
Since devolution, the Welsh Government has been very strongly committed to children's rights. It's based a lot of its children's policy on supporting and promoting children's rights in Wales, and it has taken action to demonstrate that commitment. Wales was the first country in the UK to ban smacking in childcare settings. Wales was the first country in the UK to include children in the definition of domestic violence, and is the first country in the UK to actually embed children's rights within the law.
Wel, wrth gwrs mae lot o bobl yn meddwl bod yn eitha dipyn o gam achos dyw'r Llywodraeth y Deyrnas Unedig yn Llundain ddim yn fodlon cymryd y cam hyn, felly bydd Cymru ar ben I hunan. Wel, bydd y Cymru ddim ar ben I hunan I ddweud y gwir, achos mae newid y gyfraith yn y modd wy'n cymeradwyo wedi cael ei bailot os ych chi moyn defnyddio'r gair yna mewn, wel, rester bron a bod yn ddiri o wledydd sydd wedi newid y gyfraith yn gwmws yn yr un ffordd. Sef mae nid Cymru, falle fydde Cymru y wlad gynta tu fewn i'r Deyrnas Unedig I newid y gyfraith, ond yn sicr fydde ddim yr wlad cynta yn Ewrop nac yn y byd.
I think it would make a huge difference for children, because actually what it would say to children is that we respect you. We respect you as an individual, we respect the fact that you have rights that are outlined in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and more than anything we want you to be a big part of our society, and we know that hitting you is wrong. I think for parents it will give parents some real clarity, because actually at the moment I think parents get a lot of really confusing messages about whether it's right or wrong to smack your child. Actually, if the law just said it's wrong to smack your child, you would know as a parent that it was wrong to smack your child.
If the law was to be changed, then that could give an extra dimension to the messages that we give to children and young people, that they have the right to be safe at home and that they shouldn't be hit or harmed in any way, and that they do deserve the same rights as any other adults.
Well, we do know that introducing legislation does change people's behaviour. And when we do change people's behaviour, attitudes start to change over a period of time. So take drink driving, for example. When I joined the police service in the very early 80s, it was still acceptable to many people to drink and drive. Where we see now in 2013, people would see that as abhorrent. It still happens, but generally people would see that as not acceptable. So we do need to change people's behaviour. Legislation is an important part in that. If there is legislative changes, generally people will comply with that and will change the way that they do things. And that allows us to have a very mature debate then about whether smacking of children is acceptable or not.
There are 19 members of the Council of Europe who have already legislated in favour of equal protection. And the research that's available shows that actually the fear that there will be hordes and hordes of parents who will be criminalised by such legislation has just not come through at all.
Now, I know some people may well be concerned that lots of people will be arrested and criminalised as a result of a potential change in legislation. And can I give them the reassurance that the police service, working with social services, health and education, deal very sensitively, thoughtfully and together with any allegations which involve young children as victims or offenders in the system. And because of that, we'd look at the significant harm, the context of the child, the family and any other persons involved to sensitively approach and deal with these issues which would support the family and prevent that reoccurrence of violence in the future.
I think we all need to think about the reason why it's acceptable for one group of society, children, not to have exactly the same protection in law from physical assault as anyone else. What we're campaigning for is to ask for exactly the same treatment for children as is currently afforded to adults. No more and no less.
they've got the protection that we haven't, and we should have that protection as well.
Today we have been speaking about slapping children, and this is our message to parents and politicians.
Stop! Hit the gym, not your kids. Look through your child's eyes. Listen.
Tiaha. We have the same message for the politicians. You need to
stop
ignoring the problem.
Look.
What's happening?
Listen.